This is Grace with Graceful Living. Today we have our second episode with Hans, and he's going to show us how he opens coconuts. For young coconuts,
this is a tool that I bought which is made in Brazil. It's really used mainly for just young coconuts where the inner shell has not developed into that almost hardwood material like this. So for this tool to go through this shell is going to be extremely difficult. Before it has developed into this hard shell, I can just push right through the coconut and turn it around like this, and then it comes out like a wine cork. I can pull the whole part out, and it's quite a bit easier than using a machete. I can carry it around easier.
Hans opens the old coconuts on a tree stump.
So if I do it on the ground, it's going to get dirty. So you want to try and keep it as clean as possible, but it also gives resistance to my swing. On the ground, the ground is a little bit soft, so it makes it harder to chop against. And as you see down here, the coconut attaches to the truss, like this is a truss or a rack. I like to call it a rack with technicalities. Give it the name of a rack, or a truss rather. So it attaches up here at the truss, and at the top, underneath this little hat or cap, are three eyes. One is a false eye, which is where the eventual first coconut leaf will grow up. So all the fibers come from the bottom of the coconut and wrap in at the top. So it's much harder to cut against that grain, so I myself personally will always cut the bottom off. Unless it's a very young coconut, and then it doesn't really matter. So right now we're going through the husk, the outer portion. This is the portion that protects the coconut. The coconut is basically a beach plant. It wants to live as close to the ocean as possible. The whole reason for holding this whole outer portion is to protect it from the ocean. So it can fall out, get taken up by high tide, swooped out to the ocean, travel to a different spot, find a new place to live and set roots. So this is a pretty amazing material, which was what allowed the early Hawaiians to make cordage. They make rope out of this fiber, and it was able to withstand salt air. So this is, I would call this, a young coconut, either a jelly or kind of a thin, white, soft meat. So I thought that was gonna make that a nice cut on the bottom, but like you said, this is a pretty young coconut, and decided to probably just pop it open now, the bottom. So from there, then we'll go run it through our filter.
After Hans drains the coconut water, he cuts it in half so we can eat the coconut meat inside. Here is a little depiction of the stages of a coconut, from old coconut to young coconut. As you can see on the left, the older coconut has more meat and the meat is harder. And then as you go to the right, there is less meat and the meat is soft, but the coconuts have more water. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you, Hans, for educating us about coconuts. You can find Hans with his coconuts at the farmers markets on weekends. Special thanks to artist Tommy Osuna for providing the music for this episode.